common knowledge that Sean Payton has the National Football League's thickest playbook. It's common knowledge that Payton and Russell Wilson didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things in Denver this past season. It should become common knowledge in Pittsburgh that won't happen. Good morning to you. Good Monday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports, and this is Daily Shot of Steelers. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into hockey and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Penguins and Pirates in the same place that you found this. OTAs begin tomorrow at the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex on the south side. I'll be over there covering that for DK Pittsburgh Sports. And one of the most important observations to be made will be, how does this look? Even if it's just random drills and walkthroughs and dudes in shorts, how does this look? This Arthur Smith offense that we know nothing about. And to my mind, specifically on this Quarterback Monday, how much does it look like a Russell Wilson offense? And of course, I'm referring to his glory days in Seattle. How much does it look like he's rolling out, roaming around, throwing against his body, doing all that unpredictable, not in the playbook stuff that made him legitimately special at his position in the league? Because, and I'm going to keep saying this between now and the opener in Atlanta, nothing matters more than how this quarterback adjusts to this coordinator, adjusts to this offense, adjusts to this head coach, adjusts to this city's expectations for this offense. All of that, yes, including our city, comes into play because we're not gonna just take it lying down if this offense stinks too. We're just not. And that begins, if you ask me, with Wilson and Smith not just being on the same page, but with Smith understanding that it's his responsibility, his burden to cast his offense in the Wilson mold, not the other way around. Any good coach of any sport will tell you that you coach the talent that you have, not the talent that you wish you had. And that, at least in learning about it from afar, was what went wrong in Denver. You had a coach who wished he still had Drew Brees as his quarterback and who wished he could still call 140 different plays in only 80 snaps. So what you'd have is a guy on the sideline just silently stewing over there, telling everybody, including publicly, that you're streamlining the playbook. That's the word that gets used, by the way, when what you want to say is simplifying, or we're tearing out some pages because we think our quarterback is dumb or something. When in fact, that doesn't have to happen. I'm sure there are dumb quarterbacks out there. I'm also sure that Wilson isn't one of them. And I'm further sure that if Payton had just said, listen, this is who I have. This is the guy right here in front of me. This guy's wearing a ring. I'm going to find out from him, how'd you get that ring? Who'd you throw to? Who'd you trust? How did it work having this player or that player around you? How did you feed off of the talent, the rhythm that you had, the confidence? What was it that you felt best in? Do you really think any of those conversations happened in Denver? I don't know. I don't cover the Broncos, but I know that they have to happen here. And I know that for all we talk about with Smith and the Atlanta offense and everything's going to be, like 1965 looking, and you're going to run the ball 50 times a game between Najee and Jalen, going like Franco and Rocky. You're going to have not 3 tight ends. We're going to have like 7 tight ends out there. And it's just, this is 2024. And you have Russell Wilson in your backfield. So no matter what principal identity you want to put forth, no matter what kind of picture you want to paint, the way Andy Weidel did about feeling good about our team by looking at who's sitting with us on the bus, you're still going to have to maximize all avenues for your offense to be effective. This is not an offense that is built on a single player, a single superstar. there's no Antonio Brown, and for that matter, there's no Ben Roethlisberger. It's a group that's going to have to succeed on the strengths of its individual parts working together. And if that sounds excessively cliched, so be it. Russ has to be part of that. Russ might have to be the main part of that. And as such, sit down with him. Listen to him. Go look at video from his days with the Seahawks. Put on the Super Bowl tape. Ask him, what was going through your head there? What made you feel good about that play? How do you think that one might look if we ran it with, say, George Pickens? How do you think that'd go? Put him into the process, make the commitment, go all the way. Keep your tough guy's identity and all that other stuff, but understand that for this offense to go where you want it to go, it's got to come out of his hand. When we come back, J1Q. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George, LGKG is a personal injury law firm in Western Pennsylvania that represents people hurt in car accidents or who need help with workers' comp or medical malpractice. When the attorneys at LGKG make you a promise, they keep it. They've been keeping promises in our region for over 80 years. LGKG's been AV rated, the highest rating a law firm can receive, and they've been designated super lawyers. That's actually a thing for over 15 years. It's a rare combination. LGKG has offices in Cranberry, Newcastle, Beaver Falls, Butler, and Elwood City. Learn more about them by visiting lgkg.com or by calling 888-842-5454. LGKG. Today's J1Q is really a revisit of last Friday's J1Q, which a lot of you thought I didn't answer particularly well or really answer at all. And in listening to it again to see what everyone was so upset about, I kind of get it, because the question that was asked was related to the Steelers' second half of the schedule and how that could conceivably dovetail with the NFL claiming that it prioritizes player safety. And the way that I answered it instead was why I felt it didn't matter all that much toward the Steelers winning or losing. So, to that end, Mark asks, DK, the question wasn't about the record, the question was about player safety! Exclamation points. But you went on and on about what their record could be. I find it ironic because you're preaching player safety when it comes to other issues, but you seem fine when physical divisional battles are scheduled on short weeks. I think it's ridiculous to schedule a road game in Cleveland in 4 days after a physical battle with the Ravens. So yeah, the Steelers might have a good record heading into that final month of the season, but they might not have enough healthy players left to even compete if they do make the playoffs. All right, Mark, I get it. Everybody else who said something, I get it. I apologize to you. I apologize to the individual who asked the question. And what I have for you is, of course they don't prioritize player safety. When did they ever start doing that? What kind of subject is that to even discuss on this program? I can't think of anything more obvious. This is a league that even after doing stuff like this is openly casting about for an 18th game to the regular season, while also insisting that they're not going to expand rosters, they're not going to expand practice squads. But hey, we will come up with some goofy new kickoff for you that nobody will understand, including the participants, and maybe that'll lead to even more injuries. I'm not sure what other stand I could take here that I haven't taken over the years when it comes to player safety and Roger Goodell and this league as a whole. But here again, to get back to the actual schedule, the reason that I'm not overreacting to what's seen there is, well, a couple of things. One, I don't believe that the league should take into consideration that the Steelers and Ravens like to rough each other up. 2 teams is 2 teams. They can't be thinking about stuff like that, because there'd be no way to cater to that sort of sentiment in the future. Another is that the situations are equal for all of the teams in these scenarios that we're discussing. And I went and checked myself. I looked at the Browns schedule. I looked at the Chiefs schedule. They're operating on exactly the same number of days of rest, the same amount of travel, the same everything. Whereas if you gave one team, those extra couple of days of rest, they could really do damage to you. And vice versa. In other words, the Browns are playing 4 days before the same game that the Steelers are playing the Browns on in 4 days. The Chiefs are doing the same thing on Christmas. They play on Saturday before that. The Steelers play on a Saturday before that. It's not ideal, but it is fair. And I'm going to throw out something else, and you're not going to hear this from a lot of different places. This is stuff that I hear in the locker room, and players aren't all that wild about putting it out there because it's so much more, comfortable or common to just say, well, Thursday games stink. You know what I've been hearing a lot of, and I heard it quite a bit this past season? The one good thing about a Thursday game is you get yourself basically the feel equivalent of a bye week after that, because Mike Tomlin will give them several consecutive days off. That part is at the head coach's discretion. And Tomlin just basically gives them the entire weekend to recover and recuperate. They'll do something light on Monday, they'll be off on Tuesday, and then from there it's a regular practice week from Wednesday through the following Sunday. Now I'm going to ask you this. When you look at the very end of the schedule, what we're talking about here with that Chiefs game on Christmas, the final game of the season, the Week 18 game, is against the Bengals. The Steelers will be entering that game against the Bengals on an exceptionally long week of rest, whereas the Bengals won't. And this is a divisional matchup. For all we know, it could be a critical divisional matchup. If Joe Burrow were to bring back the Bengals to where they were a couple of years ago, and let's just say that, Pittsburgh and Cincinnati are duking it out for the top spot, and the Steelers have the unfair advantage of you see what I'm saying? You could do this all day. I know the NFL doesn't value player safety. I also know that this schedule stuff is being badly overblown. I appreciate the question. I appreciate the complaints. I appreciate everybody who listens to Daily Shot of Steelers, and we will do another one of these tomorrow.